So our next speaker today is coming to us from Stanford University in California. He is Assistant Professor of Organizational Behavior at the Graduate School of Business. He was on a panel discussion with us earlier today. If you could give a warm round of applause to Dr. Michal Kosinski. Good to see you again. Hey.
Thanks. Hi, good evening, guys. How are you doing? Great? No, that's not so great. I'm sorry. They wore you down. You have to, well, bear with me for half more hour. And there's another speaker here. He's amazing. So keep the energy going. Okay, so what are we talking today about? We're talking about something that probably you don't really need much convincing of, which is that we're basically leaving an enormous amount of digital footprints behind while using internet and other digital services and products, right? So your smartphone, like this, if you don't know what smartphones looks like, is recording your location at all times. It's recording your communication with other people. It's recording your web browsing activity. And now, new smartphones would have very delicate, very sensitive sensors that can also feel things like your heartbeat, for example. Now, we increasingly wear heartbeat fitness trackers, which would also record other physiological states. Now, when you use Facebook, it will not only know whom you are talking to, not only see what information you're consuming, but also track the messages that you exchange with the others, including messages that you've never sent. Not sure if you guys realize that if you type a message into Facebook Messenger, even if you never send it, Facebook would record it to, well, optimize the service and optimize your experience. Now, it also won't be a big surprise to you that we are generating enormous amount of such data in terms of megabytes every day. So you probably use some loyalty cards, not to mention that the grocery store or the supermarket also knows the number of that credit card that was used to make a transaction, and they know exactly what you've bought. And now guess what? Those companies are trading the data. So a credit card issuer can exchange the data with the supermarket chain, or maybe there could be another company like Axiom that is just basically buying this data from both of these sources, which basically means that now whatever your supermarket knows about you can be now easily purchased on the internet, and most likely your credit card company, Facebook, and so on also know this data. And now, what I think everyone really intuitively realizes is that if you have listened to Lady Gaga's Poker Face 10 times yesterday, first of all, it's pretty weird. But second of all, it's easy now to understand that internet service providers, Facebook, and other companies tracking your behavior will know that you like Lady Gaga, right? But now maybe, perhaps, we can use this knowledge about what music you listen to, what books you read, your websites you visit, and now try to extract even more information from it. Maybe information about your political views, or maybe about your religion, and so on. So now we decided, quite a few years ago now actually, we decided to test this hypothesis on a large sample of users that were generous enough to donate to us their Facebook profiles. So we had more than 3 million participants, volunteers, that would give us access to their Facebook profile data, and they also would fill a bunch of surveys and questionnaires answering questions about their personality, intelligence, sexual orientation, political views, and a very broad range of other intimate traits. And then we used very simple off-the-shelf machine learning models to basically teach the computer, well, we didn't really teach the computer taught itself. Computer taught itself to use the information that you can find in person's Facebook profile. And in this specific study that I will show you, we just used Facebook likes and predict intimate traits of these users. And let me show you what happened. And we need more sound, if possible. Can we have the volume up? No, it was down. Can we have it up?
Now, clicking like.
Okay, once more, slightly more. Thank you. Sorry, guys.
Now, clicking like on Facebook is something most of us do without thinking.
The University of Cambridge over in London actually did a study
of what people like on Facebook to try to determine facts about them that they wouldn't otherwise know. So they didn't just look at the products, the movies, the bands that people liked. They also looked at the status updates that people liked, the photos that people liked, and they were able to draw some really, really interesting conclusions about
all of your likes that you're clicking can tell more about you than you might have realized, from your political values to your religion to your gender to your happiness to your age.
In fact, some parts of your identity can be predicted with 95% accuracy.
Accuracy was lowest, about 60%, when it came to predicting whether a user's parents were still together when they were 21. People whose parents divorced before they were 21 tended to like statements about relationships. Drug users were ID'd with about 65% accuracy, smokers with 73%, and drinkers with 70%. Sexual orientation was also easier to distinguish among men, 88% right there. For women, it was about 75%. Gender, by the way, race, religion, and political views were predicted with high accuracy as well. For instance, white versus black, 95%.
The findings have alarmed privacy campaigners who fear this research could be used to commercially exploit users.
So keep in mind that just because you think you're not revealing a lot of personal details on Facebook, you're still spreading the word to the outside world as well as those online marketers.
Volunteers with few friends liked walking with your friend and randomly pushing them into someone or something. Hey, it's not their fault they don't have friends. Everyone they know keeps getting randomly pushed into traffic. High IQ corresponds to liking Mozart, science, and the Colbert Report.
Research indicated people who like Harley-Davidson motorbikes are generally of low IQ. We thought we'd better offer a right to reply.
I'd say our average customer is probably more intelligent than most, and we've certainly got a lot of customers who are, well, people from Cambridge University for a start.
A like on Facebook can reveal if you're a gay man. Yeah, especially if what you choose to like is penises. It's apparently true. That's my wife walking in. I'm like, oh! It's a joke.
Okay. By the way, don't be an idiot and think that if somebody clicked on Wicked the Musical that they're gay automatically, or they clicked on Harley Davidson and they're stupid automatically. Ironically, that would make you stupid.
Okay, guys, so the big question is, as you could see, we could predict quite a few different variables, and there's dozens more variables that we could predict from just people's Facebook likes. Now, how does it work? Well, it's pretty intuitive, in fact. So I think that you guys really would probably agree with me if I said that our behavior is not random. We don't buy things or read books or visit places just like that randomly. You know, first of all, to, let's say, buy yourself a Harley Davidson, you actually need to be of the right socioeconomic status to do that, right? To see Wicked the Musical, you need to be a right geographical area where they actually offer this kind of entertainment. But this goes way deeper than that, because also when you buy stuff, you buy it because you maybe seen an advert of promoting it. Now, adverts are not shown randomly to anyone. Advertisers spend a lot of time trying to specify the group that they want to communicate with and then show them the advert. So now you buying a certain thing because you've seen an advert is revealing that you are part of this group, right? Also, maybe you bought something or read a book or seen something because your friends have seen it before and they've told you about it. Now, again, it's not random. People don't create friendships, form friendships completely randomly. We actually know pretty well that friends are pretty similar to each other. They have similar education, similar political views, similar attitudes, similar wealth, similar personality, similar intelligence. There's basically, as we call it, a lot of homophily among people. We just hang out with other birds of the same feather. Now, those simple facts, the simple fact that our preferences, likes, purchases and behaviors are not random means that now if you give me a behavior that you bought a Harley Davidson or seen Wicked the musical, reveal something, well, not really to me, but to an algorithm. Now, this amount of information that is revealed is really tiny, insignificant on its own. But now what algorithms can do, they can combine tens or hundreds or thousands of those insignificant little tiny pieces of information to create a very accurate profile. Way more accurate than humans, in fact, could create. And now humans also do that. It's just we do it in a relatively crude fashion. If I told you that I donated a lot of money to a given politician in last campaign, you'd be like, okay, we know his political views, right? But if I told you, hey, I was listening to Lady Gaga, you would say, okay, he's weird, but maybe you wouldn't be able to figure out my political views, right? Now, computers can do it. And they can do it for many different traits. So from traits like satisfaction with life, intelligence, number of your friends, or your age, to traits like personality. Now, another simple fact here is that the more data you can collect about an individual, the more revealing it becomes. Now, also, it's worth to mention that Facebook likes are by far not the most intimate type of data you can find out there. Think about it, well, first of all, when you like stuff, you know that other people would see what you've liked. So people kind of control themselves, right? Also, Facebook is not really an environment when certain things would get discussed. Your intimate preferences wouldn't be discussed on Facebook so often. Your illnesses wouldn't be discussed on Facebook. Now, when you take someone's credit cards data, you can find all of it there. When you look at someone's web browsing data, web searching data, you can find even more intimate details there because people feel like, hey, no one's watching. You know, of course, when I'm and I switched on private browsing, so obviously no one could see, apart from my government, my internet service provider, the producer of my cell phone, the producer of my web browser, and so on. And now another surprising fact is that you don't really need so much data to form a very accurate impression of someone, for the algorithm to form a very accurate impression of someone. Now, Facebook likes, again, are not the best piece of data you can use, and yet here this graph shows you how much the accuracy of predicting personality grows with every additional like that you reveal to an algorithm. And now this curve looks pretty cool, and you can see it's growing, but obviously it's very difficult to interpret. So how accurate the algorithm really is. And we thought that it would be good to actually compare the performance of an algorithm while predicting personality with the performance of human judges. And now humans are amazing at judging each other's personality. It was shown that if you meet someone for a few seconds, you already have a very good idea about whether they're introverted or extroverted, whether they are open-minded or conservative, whether they are agreeable or disagreeable. We don't actually fully understand how this human intelligence here works to figure out this data, but basically from a very short exposures to others, we can get a very good idea. So now what you can do, you can compare the accuracy of a computer model with the accuracy of a human brain that evolved over millions of years to be able to judge other people's personality. Why? Because it's really crucial for our survival to distinguish between an agreeable and disagreeable person, or extrovert and introvert. Really, knowledge of others gives us the advantage in social environment. So now what you can see here, that a mere 10 or whatever it is, 11 likes, it's enough for an algorithm to be more accurate at predicting your personality than your work colleagues would be. Now, you need only around 100 likes to beat your friends and family members, your mother, father, brother, and so on. Now, the most accurate of the judges, your spouse, can be beaten with 250 likes. And again, if you know anything about Facebook, you would realize that people generate new likes really quickly. So to get to 250, you probably, for a young person, you probably just need a few days to generate so many likes. At that time, in our study, an average person had 230 likes, but actually there were quite a few people who had thousands and thousands of Facebook likes. And by the way, you can go and check your own like-based predictions of personality and a bunch of other traits on this website hosted by University of Cambridge, applymagicSauce.com. Just please don't do it now. Just let's do it after the talk, when the next speaker is coming, or even later. Okay, beyond Facebook likes. And obviously, Facebook likes is just the beginning. Since then, we try many other types of digital footprints, like language that people use. And look at it. You don't really need to say the words in the online environment. You can just record people speaking, right? Or read their emails. So there's so many places where you can find digital footprints such as language. And this is the example of a commercial product employing models similar to the ones that we developed. IBM Watson has a commercial API where you can send samples of language, and it will provide you with a personality profile of a person who generated this language. You can do the same with web browsing data. So this is an example. This is a personality profile of an average visitor of a website called deviantart.com. And if you guys know what this website is, it's actually pretty likely that you are high on openness and introverted. Now, at the event of this kind, there's probably quite a few open-minded and introverted people. So you probably, many of you guys know this website. Now, the fact that people who visit this one website have this specific personality profile basically means that now if you can observe people visiting many websites, well, if you can see a given individual visiting many websites, you can also very accurately judge their personality. But now it gets even more interesting. So what I'm looking into now is checking whether we can predict people's intimate traits from merely looking at their faces. And now when I say that, especially when you say that at the university, people are like, oh my God, how can you say that? This is just some kind of a pseudoscience. How on earth could an algorithm infer my political views or my sexual orientation just based on my face? This is rubbish. But now wait a second. How much effort does it take you to predict your neighbor's gender from looking at their face? No effort at all. In milliseconds, human brain can predict other people's gender just by looking at their face. In fact, just by looking at this little piece of their face. If you just cropped an eyebrow from a face and you showed it to people, they will be very accurately able to judge the gender of a person on an image. Now, interestingly, they also wouldn't know why they know it's a female or a male, but they basically would know it, which basically means there's some kind of low-level neural network there that helps us to distinguish gender, that we don't really understand how it works, but it's amazing at it. Now we can also judge age. We can very accurately judge other people's emotion. In fact, even if you want to hide your emotion, grumpy people, it's still very easy for an observer like me to figure that out. So smile a bit more if you want to fool me here. Other traits, genetic disease. Down syndrome is a good example, which also very clearly shows on the face and people can recognize it. Now, perhaps your political views also show on your face. It's just that we humans did not evolve an ability to detect this signal. Now, maybe artificial intelligence can now spot and interpret this signal correctly. And let me show you an example here. So I told you before that humans are amazing at judging other people's personality based on a short interaction. It turns out that people actually can even do it just based on someone's face, on a still image of the face. People are not very accurate at it, but we can judge people's personality just based on a still image of the face. Now what I'm showing you here, I'm showing you 10 images of introverts and 10 images of extroverts just overlaid on top of each other. Now, which of those faces is an extroverted face? Of course, it's so easy, right? What happens here is that by putting the faces on top of each other, basically what it does, it amplifies the signal for you. You can suddenly see things clearly that otherwise you wouldn't not see. What you can actually see here, that extroverted lady, those are actually in this sample, we used women here, extroverted lady, not only you can see makeup, you can see she's smiling, you can see dyed blonde hair, you can in fact see that there is a larger neck, slightly more revealing neck among extroverts. But you also see another interesting thing. You can't see the nostrils. You look at the introvert on the other side, and introvert, you can clearly see the nostrils. Now the question to you guys, why extroverts have no nostrils? Now, it took me some time to figure it out, but there's usually an extrovert in the audience that knows it immediately. So why you can't see nostrils there for extroverts? Come on, guys. Exactly, because if you know anything about taking pictures, and all extroverts know everything about taking selfies, you take selfie like this, of course, because you look better and you can't see the nostrils. Whereas introverts, you know, they were just playing Warhammer Online or something and just took a picture from the laptop camera, so you can see that the angle there of the face is very different. And now, those regularities can be now very easily spotted by machine learning, by deep learning, in this case, algorithms as well. So what you would do, you would give an algorithm, well, millions of faces in this case, if you want a good one. You would give an algorithm millions of facial images, and you also would give algorithm millions of personality score representing the personality of the people who are on these images. And the deep learning network would learn how to predict personality from your face. And in fact, is as good as a short personality questionnaire, just one single image of your face. And here what you can see, you have an outcome of a predictive model, deep learning model. This is the kind of a stereotypical extroverted and introverted face as seen by the computer model. Now, obviously, one challenge, I will digress here very quickly. One challenge is that computer algorithms can build those predictions, but we don't really know exactly how those predictions work. The model is way too complicated for a human being to understand. We know it's accurate, we don't know how it works. Which brings me to the following statement, that because we are leaving more and more data behind while using internet, and algorithms are getting better and better at turning this data into predictions of our very intimate traits that we may want to otherwise keep private, I think that going forward, it will be really difficult to maintain our privacy. And people would say, oh no, come on, but regulation, by technology, we can protect our data, we can give people back control over data. Yes, of course. But those are not permanent solutions. And the best example here is showing that even the agencies that are tasked with collecting and protecting the data are very vulnerable for this data to be stolen. Now, if you reveal your data to a dating app or a stupid game on Facebook, I'm sorry to say, but they do not use NSA-grade data protection programs. And your data is even more likely to be stolen or misused, or actually, in most cases, just totally officially sold. Because again, and again, I said it today once before, that if you're not paying for the service, you're a product. So if you give people full control over data, and people decide they don't want to share the data anymore with Facebook, well, this business model doesn't work anymore. And many of the products we're using at the moment will have to go away. Moreover, I think that other thing that we are overlooking is that not sharing the data, it's also pretty selfish. Look, if you let Google observe your choices from the search results, Google will use this to optimize the experience for you next time you visit the website, but it will also use to optimize the search model for every other single person on the planet. People come to me and say, oh, but my health records, this is my private matter, my health records, and I'm not wishing to share my health records with anyone else. Look, great, I actually feel the same, but you have to realize the reality in which sharing the health records with those awful big pharma companies helps them to make a lot of money, but also helps them to develop amazing treatment and diagnostic methods that can save lives. So now, there are two values here that we have to trade, and I'm not sure if the outcome is pretty clear, not to mention that basically I don't really believe that we can maintain privacy in any case, because there's much information that we want to share with the others. Guys, when I'm talking to you, I want you to hear my voice, I want you to see me walking around on the stage. I want you to see my face. I want you to later go and read I don't really have a blog, but if I had a blog, you could come and read my blog afterwards, right? So we actually want to share a lot of data because this is what makes us human. But now algorithms can use the very same data to infer our intimate traits. And now, of course, you can try to regulate Google. You can try to regulate Facebook. You can try to regulate Microsoft, and you know what? They will probably comply. But can you regulate ISIS? Can you regulate a guy sitting with a laptop in his dorm room, typing off on his laptop? And you know what? I'm way more afraid of my privacy being compromised by ISIS or Westboro Baptist Church or a guy with a laptop sitting in his dorm room than I'm afraid of Microsoft or Google or Facebook doing the same thing. So my conclusion here is that the sooner we stop being distracted by the discussion on how to win some more battles on the privacy front, how to retain some more privacy, and the sooner we move on to the assumption, look guys, there's going to be no privacy in the future, and let's now talk about how to organize our society and organize our law and culture and technology to basically make this post-privacy world a safe and a habitable place, the better for everyone. And just before I finish, I just want to say one more thing. Then when we talk about it, when we talk about consequences of losing privacy, in our Western world context, losing privacy on an individual level most likely will just lead to a bit of creepy marketing. It won't really affect your life really badly. But this map shows you in how many countries homosexuality is punished with a death penalty. Now, a very similar map could be produced for atheism, for being liberal, for not following what your local dictator thinks you should be following. Now, in those countries, the consequences of losing privacy are enormous. This is basically a matter of life and death. So now, the sooner we move, because those guys lost their privacy already, like there's no going back. Now, the sooner we start thinking about how to make sure that the situation doesn't spin out of control, and stop talking about how to, maybe encrypt something to retain some privacy for today, the better. And now just to show you one more example from a face-based model. One of those gentlemen, well, not gentlemen, one of those made-up pictures of a face that were produced by a computer model represents a gay male. Can you see which one is that? Even actually humans can't really judge sexual orientation from the face. The accuracy is close to random. Now, when you aggregate the information again, you amplify the signal, this task becomes much easier. And in fact, computers are excelling at it. Given one profile picture, computer can distinguish in 80% of cases between straight and gay male. Given 5 profile pictures, and think about how many pictures of ourselves are there available, not to mention that anyone with a smartphone can take our photo, right? Now 5 images from my lame deep learning network that I can train on my university computer with a very low accuracy, by the way. We downsize the images to 200 pixels by 200 pixels. So it's just a lot of data is actually lost, but it's just what my computer can handle. We already get 92% accuracy, which is really close to perfect. Which basically means that even if you can protect all of the data you're leaving behind in a digital environment, algorithms are now becoming really good at predicting traits and invading our privacy, canceling our privacy in the offline world as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That was a really good presentation. Thank you.